Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now what we're doing here today is we're going to take a look at Matic, and we're just looking at the technical charts. There's no fundamentals here. If you have insight on the fundamentals, please go ahead and comment below, let us know. But just know this is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do have a lot of experience. I've been trading for years, and I just like to help educate other folks on best practice. So you will learn a little something here today if you continue to watch all the way through. Last but not least, I have a Patreon account. Feel free to reference that, as well as $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager, and a link to our Telegram community so you can get engaged and learn as much as you can in the cryptoverse. That being said, let's go ahead and reference the video. Alright folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Matic. Just before we do, I always like to preface on the fact that I like to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first. Just a quick chart analysis there at the 4-hour chart to kind of see what's going on. Set a baseline as to why we see the price action we're seeing today on Matic. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and see if there's any correlation and essentially just go from there. So first things first, we're going to look at is Bitcoin. Now this is the first time I've taken a look at Bitcoin today. So let's see what's going on here. Well, looks like we had a pretty massive sell-off, came down as low as 56,000, and it's back up to roughly 57,200. This is great. That basically means the support level of 57,000 is holding. The 200 and the 50-day moving average are both working as a strong support in combination with each other. So this is excellent news. We like to see this because anytime there's support lines that kind of intersect, specifically the moving averages, they have a tendency of working double time. So they actually rejected the price coming down below that and kept it above 57,000, which is good. That we really want it to stay over 57,000. Hopefully it'll bounce and keep going up, or just kind of consolidate for a little longer and then perhaps increase. But we need this stability here for everything else to do very well, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's just a consideration there. Just please understand that. That is Bitcoin. Again, this is a 4-hour chart. We're looking at Bitcoin here, and 57,000 is essentially the biggest milestone for us to be able to stay above. We want to do that. We want to stay over, and hopefully we'll continue to do that. Let's look at Ethereum now. Ethereum is a very similar pattern. So if you see the price coming down here, I'll see if I can get a closer look at that. You'll see that the price is reflective of Bitcoin's sell-off, right? So lost momentum, came back up. Price is traveling under the VWAP right now. Of course, that doesn't mean a lot on the 4-hour chart, but I can tell you that it does look like the momentum has shifted a little bit over to Bitcoin from Ethereum. Because oftentimes when people, when there's a sell-off in Bitcoin, then Ethereum will essentially ramp up. Now, when we see Bitcoin do what it did recently, it makes perfect sense as to why this happened. So there's kind of just a point right now where Ethereum's trying to figure out if it needs to keep increasing in price or stay steady. There's usually about a 1-day lag, which you can see right here with all the indecision in the market recently with Bitcoin. That's what caused Ethereum to kind of go horizontal for a little while. Not bad though. No matter how you look at it, we're still in very good shape here for Ethereum, considering how high it went. But be on the lookout for the 50-day moving average. It's coming up. It could be tested in the next few days, probably likely in the next week or so, if the price remains horizontal and doesn't increase as it has in the past. We'll see what happens with that though. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at Matic. We'll see what's going on here. Now I have, this kind of looks a little messy because I have some previous charts on here, or some previous support and resistance levels. So we'll go ahead and work with that later. For now, let's go ahead and look at the 1-day chart. And just to quickly note, with the 1-day chart here, 50-day moving average was working as a support level. So if and when the price comes back down or the moving average eventually catches up, then we will see that likely work as a continued support. But we'll be interested to see how that reacts. Now this previous support here of 54 cents, I'll go ahead and remove that. I think it's less likely the price comes down that far. So we'll just go ahead and remove that for now. But that was a previous resistance level turned into a support. Other than that, let's see, RSI is still in good shape, but it is creeping up towards 70. It's pretty much at 70 right now. So normally that would be kind of a cause for concern for investing in the future. just generally speaking, again, outside looking in, this isn't the end all be all, but this does tell us that RSI close to 70 or above 70 on the 4-hour or 1-day chart is a little cause for concern. Basically just tells us that the bulls are in complete control and that we have significant bullish sentiment. Okay, so that's a good sign in the overall sense of things, because we want this to be bullish so the price continues to increase. We just don't want the price to increase so fast, so quickly, that there has to be a retracement, which we saw before. Okay, another thing to note too, Matic has a tendency of repeating its patterns. Okay, so it's done this same pattern, what ramps up, sells off, and then consolidates, and then it continues to ramp up, sell off, consolidate. And I would not be surprised if we see the price continue to consolidate. However, it just made an all-time high, right? So when there's a new all-time high, it's kind of uncharted territory, and we don't truly know what will happen because it hasn't technically done this yet in the past. But good news is there's a good chance that the momentum could continue based on what I see here so far. So I think we're still looking to be in pretty good shape. But that is essentially what we're looking at for the 1-day chart. Let's move on to the 4-hour and see what's going on here. Now, what we want to do is kind of look at support and resistance levels here. I'll go and extend some of these out. So this was a previous resistance all-time high at about 94 cents. So we'll kick that out. That could be the new support line. We'll see how that works. Previous support could also be a secondary support here, or it could likely work itself into this channel. That does happen. And then looking at the RSI here, of course, no surprise, the RSI is over 70, so it's considered to be overbought. I would not be surprised if the price does retrace down at least a little bit and perhaps works itself into this channel. The MACD is swinging upwards, which is common when we see a price increase like this. Nothing really to note here, just the simple fact that we are in bullish territory and essentially the bulls are in control, as you can see with all these solid green bar volume closing green bars. Furthermore, this is also a good sign too, the 50-day moving average was working as a resistance, but now it's a support. It was tested twice after it broke. And that essentially means that if the price action does kind of continue to remain horizontal, when the 50-day moving average comes up to test it, it could likely work as a support and drive the price up a little further. So that's always a good sign. I love the 50-day moving average on the 4-hour chart. It tells us a lot. The other two moving averages are good too. It's just that they take a while to get there. So in most cases though, the higher the number, the stronger the support. So like the 200-day moving average is a much stronger support than the 50, but I like the 50 because it works continuous with the price, and it essentially is very helpful in that sense because it's a little more consistent. Anyways, that's what we can see here for the 4-hour chart. Nothing else much to extract. So let's go ahead and look at the 15 and see what's going on here. I like this actually. This is good because even though we saw like the really strong increase on the 4-hour chart, even though when it had a strong increase like this right here, for example, it barely peaked up over the RSI of 70. So that's a good thing. Now, if you're new to my channel and you're not familiar with this, the RSI to me is probably one of the best indicators you can use because it tells you the overall strength of the what's going on right now. So that being said, anytime we see an RSI up over 70, it's usually cause for concern because there's likely going to be retracement. And just to clarify, what I'm referring to that here is just say, for example, the most recent price increase, which was yesterday, we saw the price come up. What did it do? It jumped up approximately 10% in, what is that? That's a, I don't know, maybe 1 to 2 hour period. But it retraced back down because the price was overextended, right? So in other words, it was considered overbought, so people sold. And a retracement is when the price comes back down. But what's cool is it didn't retrace down very far, right? So we saw maybe that would probably be like 5 or 6%, no, yeah, about 5% retracement. Okay, so normally when the RSI comes up like this, you see the price come back down significantly. It usually it cuts down halfway. In other words, we saw an 11% increase, we should have expected about a 5.5% retracement. It got a 5% retracement, which is great, bounced off the VWAP and continued. And that tells us there's a significant bullish momentum. Because just say the bulls weren't here to play, then the price would have came down much further and continued more horizontally, or even regressed and came back down lower. So this is good. This basically tells us the average true range is where it should be, right where it's at right now, roughly close to about $1, instead of essentially down in the range of 75 cents. So that's awesome. But how the RSI ties in here and why I like this is because with the price increasing the way that it is, it went up this high, went up to test its all-time high about 98, almost 99 cents. And then it came off, it sold off, of course, it retraced, which is normal. But it wasn't a massive retracement. It didn't come way back down. And what's nice is the reason why it didn't is because the RSI just barely peaked up over 70. If it had blasted through 70, it would have came down a little further. So I kind of use the RSI as like a momentum tool to tell me how much momentum is happening when you just, the harder you push something, the harder it resists you, right? That's kind of how the RSI is. If you push too hard, the price is going to come back down. But the reason why this is beneficial is because the RSI is barely peaking up over and it's staying in it's not considered overbought still, which implies that the price will likely continue to test this resistance line up here of roughly 98, 97, about 98 cents. And it will likely continue to push upwards and break through. At least this is a common trend when prices do this with this kind of price action. So I like this. I think it's a good thing. It's no guarantee it's going to come up there, but I can tell you that eventually it will break because it's tested that line twice, or you could say 2.5, 3 times, because those other two were really close. So we're right in the range of 96 to 98 cents, but it just keeps working itself into this type of wedge, and a lot of times there's a breakout that occurs when you get a price that squeezes itself into this specific little level because the bears are saying no, 98 cents is too much, and the bulls are like, no, it's not enough, and eventually the bears will concede and the price will jump over. Okay, that's what I'm speculating will happen here. But again, use the RSI to your advantage, right? See, the RSI is under 70, so it's not considered overbought. So an RSI under 70 directly underneath this resistance level is a very good sign. It does imply that the price could and very well should break out as long as it continues to test this resistance line. Another thing to note too is the volume weighted average price. It is significantly lower than the current price action right now. So what might happen is it might work itself into a wedge pattern with the actual volume weighted average price being the catalyst, the support line that's moving upwards. Because again, if you don't know this and you're new to the channel, or just in general you don't understand what the VWAP is, it's a volume weighted average price. It's my favorite indicator of all time. It helps significantly with day trading and short-term swing trading. Not effective in charts above 15 minutes. But on the 15-minute chart, the VWAP is essentially a 24-hour volume-weighted average price. So it basically takes the last 24 hours, gives you an average price based on the amount of volume. Because again, the volume speaks highly, right? Look at the volume, you know what's going on if you are understanding how to read the volume. The VWAP does that for you. It gives you kind of an average price based on the amount of volume that's there. So the price should be right now at 89 cents, just say 90 cents based on the current volume. That's basically what it should be. So that's what's nice about it is it works as a support line that's continuous with the price. But when there's a significant variance between the two, like for example here, if we look here from 86 cents up to the peak, that was 13%. That 13% increase in price, that variance between the two pushed the price back down because you can only increase the price so much so fast. That's kind of how the RSI works too. So if you understand that just generally, if you see a significant difference between the price action and the actual volume weighted average price, then it's likely going to retrace back on you. But when a coin like this is making consistently higher highs and the RSI is staying lower and the volume weighted average price is working concurrently with the price, then it drives it up and it keeps going up. So this tells me that we should continue to expect to see more bullish sentiment here moving forward because of the fact that we have pretty good looking RSI, volume weighted average price indicators right now. Okay, so again, that's just my thoughts, my consideration. These things work really well for me, and in the past few years I've been able to kind of work it out to more of an exact science. It's never perfect, don't get me wrong, but with these indicators here, this really tells us a lot about really what's going on right now. So if I were to take entry in this climate, what I'd do first of all is I would wait for the price to either come down and to test the volume weighted average price, the VWAP, and ensure that it holds above and beyond that line for at least 2 solid green bars. Okay, so let's do an example here. There's tons of examples. Actually, almost every one of them are exactly what I'm referring to. Okay, so in other words, when I say to test and to get confirmation, I want to make sure that the confirmation is at least 2 solid green bars. And what I mean by that is that's 30 minutes worth of confirmation above a support level, telling me that the price action is moving in the direction I want it to go. So here's an example here. If you take a look here, for example, when the price got a little too high and it retraced down under the VWAP line right there. As soon as this green bar closed right there above VWAP, that was 1 solid green bar. That's 15 minutes. It's a half a confirmation, if you will. Then the second one right here, that's considered another confirmation, right? So that basically gives me a full confirmation. That's 2 15-minute green bars closing above the volume weighted average price, which is a support level. And big surprise, look what happened after that. Ramped up, ramped up, ramped up. So what I probably would have done is I probably would have put about 20-30% of a position into it. So say, for example, you started with $1,000 and you put in 300. That's 30%, right? That's how much you have available of your capital. I would have put in 30%, or just say 300 in this example, and then I would have increased from here approximately to right around here. The reason why I say here and not here is because you see the RSI almost hit 70 right there. As soon as I see the price and the RSI coming close to 70, I immediately take out my profits or start trimming my profits, and maybe I would have sold 50% of that 300 and then waited to see what the price action looks like, sold another 50% or perhaps the full 100. Okay, so don't be afraid to take small positions, and do not be afraid to exit out your strategy as you get closer to your goal. Essentially averaging down your position, because it's the right thing to do. It's a safe way to go, because you always ensure you're profitable. Like, I have tremendously more green days now because of this versus the times that I didn't from before. Okay, so just kind of think about that. But anyways, this kind of confirmation is what I'm referring to. You can see this pattern happening all the time. Like, for example, here as well, 2 solid green bars, boom, you could have got maybe a 3 to 4% rate increase right there. 2 solid green bars right here, closed above the VWAP, and it did eventually give you maybe 2 or 3 more percent. Again, not massive gains, but they're gains nonetheless, right? So as long as you're careful, I think you can do great things, right? Now, again, this is an easy example because this is in a bullish market and the price has a tendency of it's correcting itself and moving right back up. And this is what you like to see. So if you can identify a price action that stays under 70 and it's a bullish market, bullish sentiment, so to speak, which is what it is right now, then you can enter 3, 4, 5, 6 different times in these little peaks and valleys and just keep trimming, keep getting more and more and more. So I love stuff like this, in fact. So this is honestly a perfect case scenario. I really like Matic, just generally in a whole, but more importantly here, I like the price action of what it's doing. So to summarize, make sure you wait for confirmation and ensure that you wait no less than 30 minutes for confirmation. I know it's challenging, I know it's difficult, but it helps, okay? Because so many times I've seen traders get into it, and I've done this before as well. I won't do it again because I've lost plenty. Not waiting long enough for confirmation. You have to be patient, you have to be smart, you have to be calculated. So, before you get into a position, set a goal in place. I want to make 5% on this return. And then, mark it on your chart and just make sure you push towards that goal. Heaven forbid you don't hit it. If you put in less, right, just say you put in 20-30% in your position, you're only out that 20-30%. But once you start getting confirmation that you're getting closer to your goal and you can tell that there's this momentum that's happening, you can add to your position and increase your amount and essentially continue to get more profit, okay? So I guess that's the summary there. I do tend to ramble, apologize for that. I've been told that I go on tangents, and it's only just to really help educate you, right? So that's the whole point of this. And also bear in mind too, on my Patreon account, I'm planning to get some kind of training together so we can, teach beginner, intermediate, and advanced trading techniques so you can become better traders as well. So just bear that in mind, keep it, kind of pay attention to that, so to speak, but just know I'm here for you and I want to make sure you do well, and I hope that the price continues to increase and it tests that resistance line and we break $1 today. That'd be awesome. Again, just always wait for confirmation before you take entry, okay? Promise me that. All right. So that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you coming here today and checking this out. We'll go ahead and see you in the next video, okay? Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.